Hello, everyone. So, I hope I'm audible enough.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, I did hear the other co-speakers, and it was brilliant that you'll have a combination of so many speakers out here. And I'm extremely humbled and very happy to be here. It's a nice Sunday mood lift, I must say. So, I will not waste any more time, and I'll just get right into the subject, which is impermanence. Anitya in Sanskrit basically means not permanent. So that means like we all are very aware of how the previous speakers also mentioned that life is not permanent and everything in life is impermanent, and that's what makes it very, very beautiful. And of course, even I came from the same thought process a few years ago when I was at that age of an ideal Indian woman getting married, and I thought I will set my permanent foot in a very permanent setup of what we called today as a very what do you call, like broadly it is the timeline that is set. And once I have decided that okay, this is my protocol and I have to follow it, like most women I think in our country, I was also definitely in tandem with whatever everybody was doing. And I chased my permanence in a marriage. And in this whole journey, I had to endure a lot of mental pain, a lot of physical pain. And I didn't know until then that domestic violence is something that is a real thing, or even a marital rape that is a real thing. And of course, it came as a big shocker. And there were months or years on an end that I did not even want to believe what was happening, simply because I thought in the permanent idea of what a marriage should look like, and somebody is always there to secure you. And it was just very beautiful moment in this entire stream of darkness, a tunnel that I was passing through. The light at the end of the tunnel was when I realized I was pregnant with my son. I have a 6.5-year-old son, and I'm a single mother, very, very proud of it, of course. So then came a thought in my head that in this whole permanent situation, the most impermanence was my son coming into my life. And if he coming into my life has changed everything for me, then definitely the best thing that can happen to anybody, I think, is the fact that impermanence in life is much more beautiful than just simply being permanent about anything. Of course, I would like to add that my pain, my agony, my anger, my vendetta, all those emotions which a regular human being is bound to go through during periods of absolute helplessness, when you're very despondent and then you do not know what to do. So in these situations, I did go through a lot of every bit of that emotion. But the the best part that came out was simply, oh my god, okay, so the best part was that I could get rid of the pain. I could fight it out. My pain was something that vanished over a period of time. Like they say, time is the best healer. But the scars remained. And I think that's the only permanent thing, your scars. This is when I got an idea that I want to make my life very independent of the family and independent of the situations. And hence, I started my journey as a fashion designer, which I'm perhaps most prominently known in today's time. But behind even being a fashion designer, there was this nice story that I was extremely intrigued by it, the weavers, because my mother was already working with a lot of weavers over almost about 2 decades, if nothing less. And that's where I've taken the inspiration from. And I started this journey where I wanted to empower the weavers. And I thought fashion industry is the best solution because there is visibility out there. And of course, I ended up getting on to something which is considered one of the most prestigious platforms in the country, which is Lakme Fashion Week, and of course the Amazon India Fashion Week. And with this came success, because I was only on a run to simply prove myself and prove my point that independently we can do much more if we are moving away from the permanent setting. And once I've reached a certain stage in my career, then came the idea. One day I was just simply sitting and I was just giving it a thought. And a person like me who was blessed with good education, blessed with great family, the infrastructure, the support system, if a woman like me, coming from the privileges that I've been blessed with, if I could go through, or I had to go through so much of pain, I can only imagine what any average Indian woman or a man would be going through, who's perhaps not, as blessed as most of us, whether it's the education, whether it is just the mere basics of life. And that's when the whole idea of Her Right came into my mind. So this is an organization that I've created for women as well as men, especially youngsters I'd like to encourage, who are looking to change their life. So we create sustainable businesses for oppressed women in particular. And Her Right took off really well because I started my pioneer project was in the special prison women, the state of Telangana. What we did over there was, again, they were all also from the same school of thought of accepting life as it came, thinking that this is their fate and this is what it is and this is how we are going to die someday. And those thoughts were absolutely permanent and they were etched in their minds. And of course, to move them from that permanence to an impermanence, thinking that life can change, things can get better, and motivating them to do so, to simply change their thought process, was the biggest challenge I faced. But of course, I think resilient is something that would definitely lead us to a lot of successful paths. And so did it happen. After complete, on and on and on and on, persevering them to give it at least a basic thought if they want to work together. And there came a point then, we could actually have around 50 to 60 women who were willing to work with us, and we've skilled them, upskill them later. We've started a whole collection with them. We've showcased it, and it was one of the really, really very well accepted collection, under our work all these years. And now they also started seeing that there is light definitely at the end of the tunnel. And so many more women who are in prison started wanting to be on our path. And these women that I work with particularly are lifetime imprisoned. Of course, there are so many qualms about it and it's still a taboo, but I just chose to, be in a space where nobody perhaps would consider being, and people would think that, this space isn't great to be, because it's definitely out of your comfort zone. And there are so many stories I have heard, when I was in the prison trying to train them, because those stories have definitely changed a lot for me as well. And I never step back before I say this, but uh, these women have landed there because of their situations, because of course some definitely would have committed what they've committed, but they have all come there because there were different scenarios in their life which has landed them there. And of course, I'm sure every one of us have similar situations in life where we are, stuck between Silla and Chabdis. We don't know, which way to go. And that particular movement is when I would like to believe that everybody needs to pause and think twice before you take a step. A lot of people also asked me, why Her Right, and why I've chosen to take places where, it's not a norm to go work in setups like prisons, or work with women farmers in particular. And we worked a lot more with women rescued from human trafficking, of course, and child sex abuse, and child trafficked children. And so there are a lot of these dark spaces that I have chosen to work, not because I felt I could, see. A lot of times, people always say this, and I'm not going to lecture about the same thing again, saying, look at somebody, they are, we are much more privileged than them. Of course we are. There is no doubt that we have to count our blessings. But I wanted to simply be there because nobody else wants to be there. That was the only reason why I chose to be where I did. And the simple example that I would like to quote here is, it's like stagnant water. I think permanence is like stagnant water. It's very calm, it's very poised and composed, beautiful, it's very serene for an outsider. But only stagnant water breeds mosquitoes and diseases. So I think We love rivers because it's flowing water, it's always active, it's always changing, and that's the water that actually helps us with any sort of prosperity. So I think anything which is stagnant is definitely not very healthy. That's what I would like to believe. And so many people multiple times have always asked me that, why do you keep doing so many things? Like, you've never stuck to one thing, like you always bringing new things into play, and you're always up to something or the other. You want to try different arenas. And I believe life is one, and it changes definitely every day. And since we are anyways discussing impermanence, if life itself is not permanent, why should we stick to one? This is my thought process. A lot of people also ask me whether, what's my mantra to success? And honestly, there is absolutely no mantra to my success. The only mantra is that I have no plan B, because I came from a situation where I simply had to prove myself and take care of myself, take care of my little one, take care of my, my whole existence eventually into the future, because I was completely, moving away from what was norm. And I was trying to be a maverick in this. And so for me, there was no option but to be successful, because I've chosen a path. And if I failed, then there was no example that would be set. And taking, something which is unconstitutional and unlawful and simply being calm about it is also a crime. And I would like to, always say this. I keep reiterating myself about this also multiple times, that please and please do not think if you fail once, you are, I mean, that's the end of all. Of course not. I have failed multiple times. Forget me, Thomas Alva Edison has known to fail 99 times before an electricity bulb. But if even at 98, if he would have felt, oh my god, I'm almost reaching a century and I can't be a century of failure, and if he quit, then all of us would still be, like most of, I think, our freedom fighters be under a little diya, and we would be starting perhaps. So for me, I think, because I had no plan B, all I knew was, if I knew I had to do something, I'd try. I know I will fail, I fail. So I try and fill in the loophole, then I try again. So imagine if you're trying for something and there are 10 loopholes. You fill in one, then there are 9 more, then you'll fail definitely. Then you fill another one, then 8 more, 7, 6, 5, or 3, 2, 1. But once you fill all the 10 loopholes, what else is the route? I mean, you have to move upwards, and success is inevitable after that. So I think it is always important to figure out where you're going wrong rather than cribbing why you're not succeeding. So a lot of us we often feel, we complaining that we are failing. But I think we should just analyze why we are failing, because that's the only way that you can walk towards success. And of course, failure is also yet just another experiment for you to do things better and for you to do things in a much more lucrative manner. And I would like to end my little speech by saying relationships are not permanent. We all know that. Beliefs are not permanent. Your grades are not permanent. Your jobs are not permanent. Your emotions are not permanent. All in all, a lot of people think that's permanent. Trust me, your fate is also impermanent, because if you decide to change it, definitely you can change your own destiny. Thank you so much.